Hi, my name's Jeff Galicki. I'm an account executive here at Avoka. And recently I did a demo video explaining the Avoka mobile field worker application. Now in this demo we highlighted all the features that you would expect to see in a mobile field worker application. Native controls, native applications, saving things offline, GPS integration, camera integration, all these kind of things, video, all those things that you need and expect to have in that type of application. They're all there. But after I did the demo, I kind of thought, there's more to the story as to why Avoka Transact can help with your mobile field worker solution. So with that, I kind of wanted to take you through, my thought process on that. So let's take a look at a particular customer scenario here. So here we've got Finance Corporation, and basically Finance Corp wants to add mobile offline forms for its agents and brokers, right? So one of the business lines they do is sell insurance. They have 2,000 employees, 100,000 licensed agents across the United States. They currently have an online portal for apps with paper copies for their offline needs, right? So if someone's going remote where they can't access the app through the portal, then they have to go down to paper. They decided to break their project into two phases after really looking at the difficulty of this and how this is going to be done. Is a phase one prototype. They budgeted $50,000 and 2 months worth of time to put that in place. And then phase two is a full implementation of one of their complex applications. And again, they budgeted $250K, although they kind of know they're going to go over that, and they've targeted 1 year to complete this. So one of the things as they embark onto their project is, if we look at these type of projects and the possible outcomes that can happen, over a 6-year study was done on these type of development, basically software development in general. And actually, we can argue that mobile development is actually harder. But just development, software development as a whole, here's your succeeded, challenged, and failed ratio, right? And so you can clearly see over a 6-year period, it's about a 30% chance that you're going to succeed. Many of them, almost equally percentage, between 20 and 30% chance that you're just going to flat out fail and nothing's ever going to come from it, other than the expended budget. And then the challenge projects, which is the predominant line that we see here, just basically means that it didn't go like his plan. So either it took way more money, way longer, typically both, and maybe even a reduced functionality set that was produced out of it, right? So those are the things that Finance Corp is going to have to look forward to, right? So let's just assume success for Finance Corp. Let's assume that they met their goals, and after 14 months, Finance Corp has one of its applications fully mobile enabled, right? So, success is achieved. But in fact, there's still hundreds of more applications that need to be built. In the 14 months that it took to build the application, the actual data collection needs changed multiple times. Only supported on one device type, so Finance Corp really only targeted the iPad. And now, unbeknownst to the project, there was a bring your own device strategy being put in place by the CIO. And now that's at risk because now they're kind of limited to one type of device. And other groups inside of Finance Corp have also created different mobile apps during that time period. And what we got is a different look and feel of those apps. So in reality, success wasn't successful after all. So what I want to do now is kind of take you through a demo of the Avoka platform and how I think it is different and really meets the needs and really could have changed the outcome for Finance Corp. So what we want to do now is talk about how Avoka Transact can create a better transaction experience. So how we can easily create these forms and applications and deploy them out to our field workers or customers for that matter on the web. We're going to allow our mobile workers to have access to these forms and then integrate these forms to the back end, right, to make sure that the process is intact and working for the enterprise like we want. So to do this, what we're going to do is look at the creation aspect of it. And when we talk about that with the Avoka Transact, we're really talking about using Composer to create these interactive forms. We're going to deploy those down into Avoka Transact Manager, and this is going to manage the transaction outbound in this case, so all my different testing aspects, deployment schedules, versioning, all those aspects, and many of the rules that will be enforced, and then basically how customers are going to interact, or in this case field workers that we're talking about, how they're going to interact with these forms that were built, and then obviously manage the transaction. So as the either a customer or a field worker works with these, how they submit that back up into Transaction Manager, and how that integrate into your back end and make sure that that works. So for the demo, what we're going to do is log into Avoka Transact Composer to build our form. And again, what we're going to focus on is what Finance Corp was doing for their prototype, right? So building that prototype form out and getting it onto a mobile device so they could test out in the field. So that's going to be the focus here. I'm not going to go through all the aspects of Composer as I build this. I am going to build this real time, and I'm going to kind of try and make it fast for the video purposes. But there are videos on the website at avoka.com to see more about Composer and how to build these type of data capture applications. So with that being said, I log in. It's a web-based tool, Transact Composer is, and I can go in and I've got different projects that I may have access to, and here we see one called Finance Corp. And inside of there, we're going to create a new form, right? So when I create a new form, it's going to ask me for, kind of take me through a wizard style approach and ask me some things about it, and basically build a lot of the best practices into that form. So we're going to come in and we're going to call this our prototype form. And we'll click next. We'll be able to choose a template about that. And then I can choose, once I've chosen a template, I can actually choose structure, styling, and color themes. And I actually have a color theme out here for Finance Corp called Finance Corp Silver. That gives me my logo, gives me the color scheme that we know we want. And I can come in and maybe even choose a different styling and say, maybe I want rounded corners for this particular form. So I can choose that. Click next. You'll notice here as I come in, it's got some aspects. One of them is the field worker support. I want this form to be able to work in field worker, which we do. We want them to be able to take it offline in the application. So I'll click finish here, and what Composer is going to do now is actually create the form for us. And what it's done is created all the navigation aspects, error handling, best practices for layout, and things like that, really kind of taking away a lot of the complexities that I would normally have to deal with, and allowing me, the form builder, to focus on the content that's going into my data collection application, right? So what I'm going to do real quickly is kind of go through and build this. I'm going to drag over here into the form some different sections. So we know one is going to be customer. We're going to have a customer info section. We're going to have an address section. Maybe we'll have some questions, and we're going to say there's a more info section here, and then we want to basically have a section where we can capture the signature as well. So those are the sections we want into our form. We'll click finish, and again, what's going to happen is Composer is going to lay those sections out for me and allow me to start gathering that information. Now I've got an instruction section by default where I can lay instructions on there. This is going out to my trained field force, so I'm going to actually take that section out, so I just easily delete that. And now I can start laying in fields into the form. So I can come over and start searching for things in my palette to drag on, or I've got a favorite section here. I can drag directly to the form itself, or I can drag over into the hierarchy of what's in my form. So we're going to come in here and say, we want first name, and actually, in fact, I can actually just double click without dragging anything and say last name as well. Save. Maybe we're going to have is this an existing customer? So I can go get a checkbox. So we can drop that in. Then we're going to go grab an address. So I'm going to actually use a reusable block here to drag down into our address spot. Call this address 1. You can see it's pre-built. It's full inheritance built into it, so if that block changes, I can pick things like that, pick up changes made to it. So let's have a drop-down list of some questions. So we'll say previously insured, yes, no, and then maybe we'll drop another one on. Maybe it's any claims made in the past. Can drop that question on, and then maybe we have a multi-line text field that we're going to drop in on our more info. Say, please provide details on past claims. And we want this to actually take the full space of the form. So we can drop that in. So we kind of laid out a form real quick. Now we also said we wanted to be able to capture a signature. So we're going to actually grab the signature pad widget so we can actually sign on the glass. So we'll call that signature. We can leave all the defaults there. Actually, we're going to want them to draw it. So we're going to say draw. Drop that in place, and now we have our form. So real quickly, we could actually go in and work with our customer, right? So the business unit, and pull them in and say, hey, for this particular form, this is what I've created so far. We can hit the render, what it's going to look like on a tablet. Now, right away, we may have the business unit kind of say, look, can we have, this, instead of it scrolling down, is there any way we can make it, less confusing like that? So some of the things we're going to be able to do is actually go in and change the structure on the fly. So let's say we wanted to actually have a menu structure onto the left-hand side. We can apply that to the active design that I'm working on. So again, now if we come in and preview this form again, we now see we've got a menu structure and we can navigate through. And again, I didn't have to do anything to build that navigation. I see we really want to extend that button out, so I'll change that. Give us a little bit more space on the label there. So now, one of the things that the business unit might say as well is, hey, for this more info section, I really only need that to happen if they had past claims. So we can actually go click on that section in the tool, go over to rules, and say we're going to make this rule-based, click on it, and just navigate to the questions section. Has there been any claims made in the past? If the answer to this is yes, then this section is now going to be required. And so like if we come in and actually preview this now, we will see our form laid out. We've got navigation. We can either use the navigation on the side or the bottom. If I say yes here, we can actually see the more info is now popped in there. So we've built our form the way we kind of want it. Now we actually need to deploy this out so we can use it. So what we're going to do is save and publish the form. And in this case, we're going to, as you notice, there's multiple versions from our single design being produced. We're going to say we only really want the HTML version, and we're going to push to our demo server. We'll click publish. That's going to open a window for me to log in to do this, because now we're actually over into our manager tool. So now we're come in, we choose our actual organization, so in this case Finance Corp, and what portal do we want this to be. We're actually going to make this a field worker application, and we're just going to leave it named prototype form. We'll import, and what this does is basically sets the template up, it sets the versioning up, it sets everything in place. It actually would notify testers and go through the for promotion and everything that you would normally do. For demonstration purposes, I'm actually going to go into the details and take it out of test mode and actually promote it up straight away so we can actually see this being used. Okay, now that we've developed the form using Avoka Transact Composer and we've deployed it using Transact Manager, now let's actually go out and look at it in the Fieldworker application. So here we're looking at our iPad, and we can see the Fieldworker icon there. So this is an application, native application that I've downloaded from the iTunes Store. If you're on Android devices, you can pull it down from the Google Play Store. So we're going to tap on that, and what we're presented with is basically the login screen. And so I'm going to log into the application. And what that's going to do is actually bring us in. If you'll notice in the upper right hand corner, we can see it synchronizing. So because my user ID is tied to Finance Corp, it's basically pulling down all the Finance Corp forms that I have available to me. So in my forms folder here, that's going to be the equivalent to what I used to carry out in the field via paper forms. Right now they're there for me to go search, find, open up, and fill in. In addition, with the field worker, I'm going to have task lists, so the organization can actually assign work to me, or maybe I'm working on a form and it's going to take me a day or two to finish it, or maybe we have break for lunch with a client, whatever. I can save it and I can pick it back up in my task list here. So we're going to click on the forms, and what we're going to see, there's our prototype form that we pushed out there. So if I tap that, now I'm going to open that form up, and basically what we're going to see is the form just as we designed it over in Composer with our navigation there as well, right? So I can navigate through the form. I could use the navigation on the left-hand side or on the bottom, and then I could actually come in and answer questions. If I say yes here, we're obviously going to see the more info section now, so I could fill that out. And then I could go to sign, and then actually collect my signature right there on the application. Now, one of the other things I'll be able to see with it is also attachments with the device, so native integration into the camera and the library. So if I wanted to take a picture, of something, I could do that. So real quick and easily, we were able to create a application that reflects the business data capture needs, put rules into it, deploy it out into the field so field workers can now use it both in a connected mode and a disconnected mode, and they have an application to put it in place with. Now, real quickly, what I'm going to do is, let's say that just like in Finance Corp's situation, things changed and we need to make a quick change to the form. So what I'm going to do is open our browser back up. So now we're back as a form developer. And let's say maybe one of the changes was we wanted to actually change where this showed up. So we're going to align it to the right. So now our menu is over to the right hand side, and we wanted to add an email address field. So we can grab the email field, drop that in place, and we'll make this a little bit larger. So now we've got our email field in there. So now one of the things I can do again real quick is actually preview it, so we can see that it's working the way we want it to be. And we can in fact see that is there. Now one of the other things that we can say were needed were actually some rules to say fields are actually mandatory. So we're going to say first name and last name are mandatory. So again, just simply choosing that. We see the best practices already in place with the red asterisk, and all the validation rules are going to be enforced. So let's go ahead and publish that back out. So we're going to log in. We're importing to Finance Corp. It already knows that we have a form out there. Do we want to create a new version of this or just update the current version? In this case, we're just going to say update the current version. Typically, you would do that as a new form version. And now let's go back to our iPad, and if we just even tap on the synchronize button, we'll see it synchronize up. And then once that's done, we can go back into our form, And now we basically see the changes that we've made into the form with the email address and the required fields. And you can see here we've got validations now, so we can see the error that I have, and it's going to require that field. If I'm tabbing through, we can see now both are there. And actually, even if I type in bad information into the email, I'm going to see that it's actually a bad string there. So validation was built into all those. So again, very easy to make the changes as the business needs, and deploy those out into the form that the customers can use, or in this case, our agents. Okay, to conclude, the top reasons why a mobile platform is important. So hopefully you see by the demonstration we just did, the time to market for these solutions is crucial, and a platform like Avoka Transact can help deploy in a matter of days and weeks as opposed to months. Consistency of developed solutions is going to be there by using a platform, so the IT can have control to push, and marketing and brand awareness can push the consistency they want across all applications. Business units are fully engaged, so you can actually have your super users building the forms and putting things in, because the Avoka Transact platform, specifically Composer, has reduced the technology barrier to create those type of applications, and obviously we're reducing risk as we go, so they're not as difficult, they're not as costly, and we'll see much less in the failure category as we deploy these type of applications this way, as opposed to building them one at a time and one-offs. Multiple device support is built in, and business agility is there, so we saw how we could real quickly change and add new fields, new business rules, even whole new applications, again, in a matter of minutes. So thanks for your time, and hopefully you found this valuable. Thank you.